There's a pretty one, Ulysses. There it is.
Hello BookTube, I'm Sean the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel. Here I am reviving a musty old tag I created more than a year ago called the 10 Books tag, but this one's very specific and focused. This is the 10 Books tag, the Scribd version. Scribd is a book service, a subscription service that's kind of like Netflix for book people. For $10 a month, you can get access to something like 1 million ebooks. I'm not sure of the number, but it's around 1 million ebooks and 50,000 or 75,000 audiobooks. I've been a subscriber for years. I am not sponsored by Scribd, but I am a big fan of Scribd. The 10 Books tag is something that, an amorphous tag that I created shortly after I became a booktuber, where I think the original idea was to pull 10 books off your shelf and talk about them. And that's fun, but I am adapting that for the purpose of talking about the last 10 books that I saved to my Scribd library. So you can browse on Scribd, and anything that looks interesting, you can just save it, which you have a maximum of 500 books or audiobooks that you can save in your own personal library for future reference. So I thought it would be an interesting tag to tell you about the last 10 that I saved. So this will be from most recent to least recent, but they're all quite recent. I save probably 1 or 2 books every day to my Scribd library. Oh, and I should say that I'm skipping over books that I've recently finished or that I'm currently reading, and I'm just going to the ones that I've just saved for future reference, all right? The first one that, like that, is a collection of short stories, a debut collection of short stories, called Look How Happy I'm Making You by Polly Rosenwake. And I don't remember, I think I heard about this on Twitter. It's got a fabulous cover, has various audio narrators. Now, when it has various audio narrators, I'm a little nervous because I don't like most audio narrators. But anyway, I will give it a try. And it's about women with babies. So that isn't a theme that would appeal to lots of readers, lots of female readers that I know. That would not be something that they would want to read. But whatever I heard about it, it piqued my interest. Polly Rosenwake has published stories, essays, and reviews in the O. Henry Prize stories, New York Times Book Review, and other periodicals, including the Millions. And yeah, I'm intrigued. I will give it a try. That's the beauty of Scribd. As a chronic bailer, I can sample something, and if I don't like it, I'm not out anything because I'm only paying my $10 a month. Next is a novel from Ireland, from Northern Ireland, if I'm remembering correctly. I think I am. The Butcher Boy by Patrick McCabe, and this is also an audiobook narrated by Patrick McCabe. And I heard about this novel. I had heard of Patrick McCabe, but I didn't know much about him. Until I saw the video that I'm going to tell you about, I probably would have said, oh, that sounds like a Scottish writer, McCabe, but no, it's an Irish writer. And I heard about it on one of my new favorite channels of YouTube, and that is Hooked on Books by Sharon. Sharon and I have done a buddy read recently that was a big success, and we're doing another buddy read in a couple months, and I absolutely love her channel. And for her Irish readathon, she read this novel and loved it, and what she said about it, I'll put a link to her video in the show notes, intrigued me. It's about a boy at the end of a relentless descent into a world of scorn and fear. Patrick McCabe, born in County Monaghan, Ireland in 1955, and he has written the screenplay for the film of this novel. And I don't know anything more than what Sharon taught me in her video, but that intrigued me. The third book that I have saved is Stet, An Editor's Life by Diana Athill. And I was definitely aware of this memoir, and for the first 3 or 4 years that I heard about it, I thought, oh, I don't really want to read that. But for whatever reason, I have become more and more interested in it. And when Britta talked about it in a recent video, in which she recommends memoirs, which is not a genre of book that I particularly am predisposed to, I was sold. So I found out it's on Scribd in ebook, and I will be reading it. I also found some video clip about Diana Athill, who just died a month or so ago at the age of 100 or 101, and some video clip of the final documentary or the final interview with her. And so she was 100 years old, and she looked much more alert than I usually do on my videos. She just had such a presence and self-possession that was enough. That I thought, oh, I need to read something more by and about this woman, Diana Athill. So, an editor's life. The fourth one is a Meg Wolitzer novel, The Wife. And I heard Britta talk about this novel, and I don't know if she has read it recently. I may be getting confused. She's a big Meg Wolitzer fan. I loved Wolitzer's The Interestings, and I bailed at the end of chapter 1 of Wolitzer's The Female Persuasion. But I think that I would love other of her novels, and I think Britta raved about this and recently read it. It's been made into a movie with Glenn Close and somebody else. And so I have it on ebook. I will get to it. The next one is a bit of a departure from my usual reading. This is a, what are we now, 2020 election memoir. Mayor Pete Buttigieg. I still haven't learned. I've heard like 7 pronunciations of his name, most of which sound really dirty. And I still haven't got the correct one in my mind. Apparently, he pronounces it differently from what his husband pronounces it, so I don't think I need to pronounce it correctly quite yet, do I? It's his memoir, Shortest Way Home. I don't read election season political memoirs, ever, but he intrigues me. Every appearance of his on TV, every interview, he impresses me more and more. It's an audiobook. I might narrate it by himself, and I might give it a try. The sixth one is a horror novel. I never read horror novels, but this is called The Auctioneer by Joan Sampson, an ebook, and Maria of MH Books. I don't know if she's talked about it on her channel, but on Goodreads, we're friends on Goodreads. You know, we're like this. I love Maria of MH Books. She talked about this and how blown away she was as a person who doesn't usually read horror by how literary it was. And that was enough for me to check on Scribd. It's available to me as a 240-page ebook. So someday, maybe Halloween this year, I will give it a try. It was originally written in the 1970s, set in a rural community in New Hampshire. So it's a farming novel. A charismatic man arrives in town and starts soliciting donations for his auctions, and then everything changes. A chilling masterpiece of terror. She is no longer with us. She died, wow, she died in 1976 at the age of, I don't know, God, I need a calculator. She was only 39 or thereabouts when she died in 1976. This was her only novel. It wasn't published until mid-January, the year of her death. She died 5 weeks later. Brain cancer. This blog entry said it's not really a horror novel. It's better classified as a non-supernatural suspense story. Well, I'm curious enough to give it a try. Number 7 is a novella, a French novella, The Waitress Was New by Dominique Fabre. And this was one I just found reference to. Somebody on Twitter mentioned it. It's a 2-hour audiobook, and it's about a bartender in a cafe on the outskirts of Paris who observes his customers as they come and go, and we follow his stream of thoughts as he observes his customers. That doesn't necessarily sound like it would be any good, but a 2-hour audiobook, I'll give it a try. If not before, for Novellas in November. Fabre is a French novelist who focuses on the lives of individuals on the margins of society. And he was born in 1960. The translation, apparently it's an archipelago book, was by Jordan Stump. Originally published in French in 2005 and translation in 2008. Number 8 is The Hired Man by Aminata Forna. And this was definitely a Blame It on Britta save. She talked about this in her top 10 books. This is one of her top 10 reads of all time. I have not read Aminata. Britta absolutely loved it. Aminata is an African writer. Oh, she has a really interesting background. She is a Scottish and Sierra Leonean writer, born in 1964. Her memoir is called The Devil That Danced on the Water, and she's had 4 novels. Oh, I've heard of Ancestor Stones and The Memory of Love, but this one is The Hired Man, 2013. No, Happiness. I've heard of... The only one I hadn't really heard of is the one that Britta loved, The Hired Man. It's available to me as an ebook on Scribd. I can't wait to read it. So, thanks, Britta. And thank you, Scribd. The last 2 are from the Man Booker International Prize long list. Number 9 is The Shape of the Ruins by Juan Gabriel Vasquez. And I have a 17-hour audiobook on Scribd. I bookmarked it because it's available to me for free, but it doesn't sound like a Sean book. It is all about political intrigue and assassinations and twisted obsessions from Colombia, and that just doesn't sound like a novel that I would sink into, but I will possibly give it a try. And number 10, I think, is definitely a Sean book, Four Soldiers by Hubert Mingarelli, and it's a 130-page ebook. 4 young soldiers in 1919, members of the Red Army during the Russian Civil War. And I was hooked by the little snippets I heard. Then I watched Matthew Sharapa's review, and I was all the more hooked. I'm definitely going to read it. It would be a half-a-day read, right? So those are the last 10 books that I saved to my Scribd library. I don't know how many other booktubers out there are Scribd subscribers, but I think this would be a fun tag for you to do. And the only 2 that are coming to mind as I film this are Mel of Mel's Bookland Adventures and Ange of Beyond the Pages. So I am tagging you. I sent out a tweet about an hour ago asking for other booktubers to let me know if they were Scribd subscribers, and if so, I would be tagging them. So there may be a video addendum to this to tag them, but so far no replies. And this is an open tag. Any of you out there who are booktubers who have Scribd and would like to do this tag, consider yourself tagged. Thanks for watching. Hey, so I got quite a response to my tweet asking for other booktubers who subscribed to Scribd to identify themselves. So in addition to Mel and Ange, I am now tagging Justin of Ghost Reader, Doris of Aldi Books, Nashwa of Nashwa S, Kendra Winchester, Sonya of An Enthusiastic Reader, and Emma of Emma's Bookish Lifestyle. And once again, throwing it open to anybody else. I guess you kind of have to have a Scribd subscription, but to anyone else who would like to do it.